There's the Chuckle Brothers, look. Who took the panels off?
Who hid the panel from me?
Didn't I did?
They both took the panels off and I didn't take the panels off. I had nothing to do with it, but I'm left with putting it back together. So we got all the panels back on yesterday. Everything back on, and I went to put these screws in here to secure this panel, and I said, Jimmy, there's no screw holes here. There's nothing to bolt it onto. And what it was, that back panel there, all this back plastic panel, as you can see there, all that wasn't there. I said, well, it's got to fix to something. There's the screws I wanted to put in. Look, up there. Then he goes to the room where all the other panels were, and he comes back, he said, oh, is this what you're looking for? So that, all the forks have been put back on, and all these panels, everything had been put back on, and that wasn't in place. So I had to take everything off again, and then I had to take the forks off again. This was yesterday, and put that panel back on, put the forks back in, and then when I put the forks back in, as I said to you today, the problem we had was that the caliper didn't fit. So it was the Chuckle Brothers again who informed me that these fork parts were interchangeable, which they obviously ain't. So, but we've got over the problem now. It's taken me all day to put this back together, and as I say, now he's just done his CBT for part 1 test, and he's back on the road, or he's going to be on the road very shortly. We're still missing the front mudguard, and the reason for that is that we ordered a separate caliper. As you know, the fork bottoms we had to buy new, and I was advised by the Chuckle Brothers, my two sons, that these are interchangeable parts with the NRG. So, cut a long story short, I had it on there and the brake caliper never fit. So, I've had to put the old one back on, but to get this off was a devil's own job. There's a bolt that goes up through there, an Allen bolt, which was just spinning. That goes in to the damper rod, which is inside the fork leg, which was just spinning, so there was no way I could get it out. So I had to take all the forks out. I had to cut down there and cut down the other side with the Dremel tool. Brilliant tool, the Dremel, if you've got one. And then basically separate this, and I was left with that bolt sticking in underneath there, which was just spinning, it wouldn't undo. So I've had to get a spot weld and spot weld the side of the bottom of the sanction to the bottom of the internal damper so that I could wind it out. I put this old one back on, but as you can see, the lug's broken off. These, you can't get these anymore, these parts. So I've either got to decide what to do with that or cable tie it on, so I'm not really finished. But there you go. That's what I had to do today. But as you can see now, the bike looks very nice. We've got some graphics coming for it. It's all blacked in. Right, we've just brought a graphics pack for them. These are only a cheap ones. There we go. We've got various ones there. We may not use them all. So that's what we're going to apply in a second. We've just give the handle on the back coat of black paint. We're going to put that on, and also, you remember I spoke to you about the variator and the clutch mechanism. Well, on the clutch you've got springs which centrifugally open up as the revs increase of the engine, so the engine pulls away. Now on this model, what you've got is 3 different spring sets here that you can put on to alter your pull away on your clutch control. So for example, they're rated in RPM. This one here has got, I don't know if you can see that, 1,500. These have got 2,000 on them, and I think these ones are 1,000 pull away. So what that basically means is you normally start off, I think, with 2,000 RPM, and you, so if for example, if I put the 2,000 springs on, it will be 2,000 plus the 2,000 springs equals 4,000 pull away. So you before the clutch engages, it will have to rev to 4,000, and likely if I put the 1,500 springs on, it will be 2,000 plus 1,500, which means it will pull away at 3,500. So we're going to go to the 1,000 springs anyway, these ones, so hopefully it'll be 2 plus 1,000, so that'll be a 3,000 pull away. So the ones we've got on at the moment, we're not too sure what rating they are, but we're going to put these 1000 ones on anyway to make it pull away at lower revs, because it does rev quite high when you pull away. Right, now this is the drive system on the moped. Now again, I'm no expert, but what you've basically got here is a belt. You've got a pulley there and a pulley this side, and this is the clutch mechanism just under that bell housing there. Now basically what you've got is variable pulleys on either side. Now depending on the engine revs and how fast the engine's turning over, you've got a pulley mechanism here which opens and closes, which alters obviously the belt is at the moment. You can see that it tapers downwards. So the bigger pulley is at the back and the smaller pulley is at the front. Well, as the engine increases in speed, this has got what you call variator. This is a variator here, which has got weights underneath this mechanism that open up. They throw out and open up. As they open up, they draw the pulley together, the pulley housing together, which makes the belt ride higher up on the pulley housing. So this starts to increase in size, and in the same breath, the pulley this side has got a big thick spring at the back there. When it starts to increase in speed, this opens up this pulley and in turn makes this belt smaller. It goes inwards, so you're basically altering the gearing by altering the pulley dimensions, making that one bigger and that one smaller, which will give you a higher engine speed. Now they've got various forms of adjustment on this system. For example, under there in this variator you can adjust the amount of weight that these operate at by adjusting the roller weights. There's 6 roller weights underneath there, and also by altering the pitch of the pulley, and that alters the way that the power comes in. And in the same breath there, by changing the spring under here, which you can't see, that determines on the adjustment on that pulley. But in the same breath, you've also got a pull away adjustment, which is via the clutch. This is the outside drum housing, which is attached to the rear wheel. This rotation, as you can see there in the background, the wheel's rotating. Well, in the centre there, you've got a centrifugal clutch which throws the friction pads out that grips onto this bell housing, which in turn turns the wheel. And that's where them springs come in, as I told you about, because you've got 3 separate springs under here which determine how fast that them weights fly out. So I'm just going to take this bell housing cover off now, and you'll be able to see the 3 clutch plates underneath there, and also the 3 springs I'm talking about. Right, let's get that off of there. And this is the actual bell housing, as you can see there, and this is the clutch. Now what we need to do is to actually remove this clutch, because the springs are actually on the other side. So let me get that off first, and then I'll come back to you. Well, to get this unit off, obviously what I've done there is I've undone the front pulley belt there and the nut, just taken the belt off of the pulley, and then you can literally draw this whole rear system off. There's the belt, and this is a bit I was trying to explain to you about the spring that's in there. And if I pull that in, you can see that it's so hard, but you can that is actually opening and closing that pulley there. You can't really see it. I can't push the spring in hard enough, but there's the 3 I don't know if you can see them in there, but there's the weights in there at the moment. So to actually get to them, we've got to undo this big nut here, and this spring's under tension, so we've got to keep tension down on there. So I'll probably end up putting this in the vise and then undoing that nut and then releasing the tension so that we can get to the other side of the springs. Right, so what I've done basically, I've got some G clamps I've put around the top and the bottom. I've got a fan belt which I've put around the clutch shoes and tighten that into the vise. Now let's see what we can do here. Here we go. Right, yeah, we got it. Got the tension off. See what I'm saying? With a little bit, we haven't got the correct tool, but we've improvised. Now don't forget, them springs are under tension at the moment, so we want to be careful that these clamps are the only things holding that spring together. So I'm going to undo that. And I've got the bolt off now, so as I say, now it's just purely the springs. That big spring is being tensioned by these clamps here, so I've got to be careful. Put my safety goggles, get me safety goggles, Jimmy. Here they are. As I say, we've got to get this thing back on yet, so this is a first for me. It probably isn't the right way to do it because they do specify a special tool. But I'm just letting you know that we are obviously trying to do this. I don't like it, but that's why you've got to have your safety goggles on, people. Tension's coming off. There we go. And there we go, we got it off. There's that spring. As you can see, it's quite a large old jobby. God knows how we're going to get that back on yet, but never mind. We'll come to that when we get there. So there's the spring. Undo that belt out of there. And if I turn that over, you can now see the 3 springs which we can now remove from this clutch. Right, well what I've tried to do, I've tried to get these off. These springs are very, very stiff. And I think this might be some sort of performance clutch in here, which is why they're very, very stiff and white revs so hard to take away. I've got the replacement springs here, as you can probably see. Now these ones, if you can see, these give a lot more easy. So I'm hoping that that'll fling the clutch out for quicker, because they're a lot weaker spring. Now because I can't get them off, I'm going to actually cut them off anyway. So I'm going to do that with a Dremel, because there's no way I can pull them off with the tools that I've got available. So again, it's finding alternative solutions, which I'm doing here. I've got my safety glasses on, and I'm just going to cut one side of the spring so that hopefully that will reduce the tension. I can just pick it off. Right, so I'm just going to do this now. Right, that's one cut. They say that come off pretty nicely actually. So before I go any further, I'm just going to try and remove this one and put a new one in, just to make sure that I can do it before I go any further. So that's the one side of the spring. If I just try and bend that, oh, that's quite warm. I mean, they're very, very stiff. A lot stiffer than the other one. So hopefully this will sort out our pulling away problem. Pair of pliers, them grips, Jimmy. So hold the spring in place while I release these, that's all. There we go, that one's in. Right, okay, there you can see we've got all 3 springs back on now. So it's a bit of a redneck way, but again, if you haven't got the tools to do the job, you have to in certain circumstances you have to overcome these things. So providing you can do it safely and effectively to get to the end result, sometimes you have to resort to these sort of ways. Right, again, we've got to play this one by here. We haven't done this before. I'm just going to try and get the first few coils on. So if I can push that down and maybe Jimmy can get a start on it. It's going on? Yeah, go on.
Is that the very bottom you want?
Go from the top. Right. In the middle, that's right, yeah. Go for the, no, not on them two, because my hands are there. Look, the other two. The other flats. No, stop, go around one more. The 2 flats, that's it. Now you can turn it, half a turn at a time. Any time of day. Hold on. Go on. And again. Right, so we're back on our clamp situation. So I'm hopefully just going to tighten up now. There we go, better get a tightness on this one now. Okay, so there we go. Okay, there we go, I'm happy with that. So we're back to square one, but we've now got our new springs back on. And we managed to get away with that without using any special tools, by just applying a little bit of redneck techniques to get over the problem. we're just going to turn it on now and see if the clutch is working a little better than what it was. Right, we haven't got the front mud guard on, we're still going to sort that out, but we've now added the graphics, as you can see. We haven't gone overboard with the graphics, obviously they send you loads and loads of graphic pictures, but we've just put them on so it complements the bike, we think, anyway, so there you go. Very nice indeed. So Jimmy's just going to try it out now. Vastly different bike than what it was when we got hold of it, first of all, and if we were going to sell it, I think we'd get a lot more money for it. But there you go, there was another restoration done there. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you in the next series of videos. Thanks very much and goodbye. Look at that, electrics work exactly what nothing like this worked. First of all, you know you got your lights on there. See how it pulls away. There we go, pulling away a lot better now. You used to have to rev the rotor with it. What do you think of that? Sharon, there's a little boy. Stacey, what are you filming? And a little Evie. What do you reckon? Did you like that, Evie? Hey, are you with Nanny?
Love Nanny.
Yeah, love Nanny. Give Nanny a cuddle. Give Nanny a cuddle. Go, ah.
Please.
Go on. No? What about Mummy?
No, it's not cuddle me. Nanny's here.
Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye to everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye.